Hi everyone, it's Meredith, your evolutionary astrologer, and today is going to be really interesting because we're going to talk about the elusive and the very complex and contradictory Virgo moon. I'm going to give you all the secrets here, and we're going to go, of course, to the underworld, the underbelly, and we are going to explore and dive for the buried treasure of what does it mean to be Virgo. Now, I hope that you've already watched my Virgo playlist, especially my Virgo in Love and my Virgo Rising. Those are some of my very best videos. Now, I have to tell you a little secret here. I really sort of jilted my Virgos because my very first YouTube video that I ever did was my Everything Virgo video. And you can see in it how nervous I am and how new it was for me to speak out loud about astrology, just to speak out loud on YouTube. So I hope to make it up for you Virgos, and I hope you'll go back and watch my Everything Virgo video. It's really cute. I'm at Oxford University, but I'm super nervous. I'm green. I'm a novice, and it was fun to do, but Virgo kind of launched me. So I have an affinity to Virgo, and I hope to do you justice with this video. So watch this video if you've got a Virgo in your life, or I want to say if you're Virgo rising, Virgo sun sign, if you have a lot of sixth house planets, if you have Mars, Venus, or Mercury in Virgo, or Jupiter in Virgo, or listen to this, if you have Mercury in the sixth house, I have a dear friend of mine who has Taurus and Mercury, but it's in the sixth house, and I swear she's Virgo. So Mercury in the sixth house, or if you have a lot of personal planets in the sixth house, this video is for you. And let me tell you, if you are born under a Virgo moon, I bet you anything you are extraordinarily conscientious. I like the Virgo moon. It is one of my favorite moons. I will say that. It's definitely a moon that I would choose. And it's a moon that I like to be around. I like being around Virgo moon people. And I have to be honest with you, I like Virgo moons. They're a little softer and they're a little sweeter than the sun. But that's probably the case with any sign because the moon is our emotional awareness. And by the way, I hope that you've watched my entire moon playlist. It's going to take me about 16 weeks to complete the whole entire playlist. And I have put my heart, body, mind, soul, and massive energy into this moon series. It's some of my deeper work, so I hope you guys really like it. Virgo moons are very careful and they're very critically observant. And when I say critically observant, I mean they have the critic's heart. Their heart goes through a mental filter. Their mind rules their heart or their emotions. Now, Virgo moons also, you'll recognize them because they have a humility that other signs just don't have. And it might even be their greatest strength. There's a reserve in their nature, and they're not going to be the ones to brag about themselves, not even if they're in Aries. That Virgo moon is going to create a humility in them, a humbleness. Because Virgo moons are not going to brag about themselves, I'm going to brag about them for them. Yeah. I love Virgo moons. I'll say probably above all things, Virgos are compulsive. They have a compulsive need to do things right. When they do things right, they're not even going to seek a loud recognition, but they do like to know that you are aware of how they did things well or correct or right or properly. So they do like feedback, but they don't need it on a bullhorn, and they don't need it on a stage, and they don't need it like a Leo. Another major thing about Virgos is they are the problem solvers of the zodiac. They don't get a critic's eye just for fun. They get it to solve problems. And so because they're the problem solvers, what happens is they attract a lot of problems. They attract situations and people with problems. That's the way it goes. That's part of their karmic contract. They are born reliable, highly competent, and extraordinarily service-oriented. Let me tell you, Virgo moons, you got skills. Yeah, you're quick on your feet and you have a pride about yourself for being very reasonable, for being pragmatic, for being talented, for being useful. And I think you have a desire more than any other sign, including Gemini, to be organized. Organization is their superpower. Virgo moon's karmic contract is going to be centered around, like, why are they useful? Why are they pragmatic? Why are they reliable? I'll tell you why. The Virgo moon's deepest or reigning need, I guess. What does a Virgo moon come to Earth in contract for? I would say to master, and this is where you won't hear this on other channels. Other channels are going to tell you to be, just what I said before, smart, to be critical, and to be organized. But why? To master, are you ready? Are you ready for it? Here it goes. To master emotional intelligence. Yes, they also have a very, very strong relationship with perfection. And we're going to talk about this because this is both what is wonderful about them, and this is what is very debilitating for a Virgo in general, and a Virgo moon especially. They have high anxiety because being perfect or having such a deep intertwined relationship with perfection is absolutely, utterly exhausting. It's just exhausting. The body and the mind are in chronic high focus all the time. Just chronic high focus. And it is literally exhausting. It's like a Gemini who's on 24 radio stations at one time. Virgo has a laser focus. They are a brilliant multitasker, but they really can follow through more to completion than a Gemini can. I will also tell you that because they have this deep relationship to perfection, which is evil in their life and a blessing in their life. It's both at the same time. Beauty for them, usually, not often. I have a few Virgos in my life that are absolutely pathetically unaware of beauty, and I don't know why. I have no idea why. I'm like, okay, I'm trying to find this relationship to nothing being beautiful in your life. I don't know where it is. I'm still trying to figure it out. But most Virgos, this is most Virgo moons, beauty is critical to them because beauty is a standard of, it's another expression of perfection. Virgo moons usually come from a mother especially. Sometimes it can be father too, and sometimes it's just whoever you were raised by that is highly productive and so stinking smart. And you usually get a primary parent. It's usually the mom. The moon is the mother in the chart. I hope you guys watched my first 3 moon videos, one where I talk about what does the moon mean. Please watch that. And then moon phases part 1 and 2. Get all of that inside of you. Watch your sun sign in my moon series. So if you're an Aquarius, watch my Aquarius moon video. And in my Virgo rising video, I talk a lot about the relationship to the mom. So if you have a Virgo moon, please go watch my Virgo rising video. But they usually come from a mom that can just do it all, that is a multitasker, and a family that really values productivity at all costs. Crisis can come through a family that demands or strives for perfection and mastery in knowledge, in health, in wellness, in job, in career, in relationships. I mean, you can feel how exhausting that would be, right? And when you miss the mark, what happens? It's so sad. 2 things happen. The Virgo moon person gets paralyzed with deep guilt and shame. And they crystallize inside of the Virgo and paralysis sets in. So what happens when guilt and shame start becoming your driver? Well, you don't want to show up in your life because you feel like you're going to fail anyway. And that is the biggest trauma point in a Virgo moon's life, when they feel like they have no chance at being what is expected. I pretty much guarantee you that they probably come from a family that has incredible pressure, has put incredible pressure on the Virgo moon person to have a sense of duty and honor and modesty and humility, and to be in service and to do good and to do well and to be of use. Sometimes a Virgo moon person, like a Capricorn, has grown up to become a fully fledged parent by the age of 12 years old, highly capable, can probably pay the mortgage, pay the bills, sweep the floors, make the dinner, dress themselves, get themselves to school, drive the car before they're 16 years old. The Virgo moon person learns in the womb, I will be a productive human being. And if not, I will be so guilt-ridden that I will become useless and good for nothing. My life will become pointless with no purpose. I will be a nothing, and therefore I die. Yeah. So when a Virgo is in service, that is literally their fuel. That is their psychic energy. Their emotional fulfillment comes from being not only in service to another, but being in service and doing an exceptional job of that service, of that duty. Virgo moons are going to show love through acts of service and through doing something for you. Virgo moons are very embarrassed by loud emotional expressions of sappy, syrupy love. They don't like that. They would rather you cook them a meal or come over and help me paint my walls, or, God, help me fold my laundry. That is how a Virgo moon is going to say, I love you. They're going to help you with a project. They're going to scrapbook with you. They're going to help you pick out your outfit. They're going to drive you to the airport. They're going to do something for you. And that needs to be good enough for you. It's easy to get your feelings hurt when you're involved with a Virgo moon if you are a fire sign, or even, I would say, a water sign, because they don't say the words, I love you. They will say, I love you by telling you who you are. You're Superwoman, or you're smart. You're the queen. You remind me of James Bond. That's how they say, I love you. They pay you some indirect compliment that doesn't ever make it too emotional, too mushy, sticky, gooey, lovey-dovey. Can you tell I don't have a Virgo moon? I appreciate my Virgos so much, though. I really do. But I've never really met a Virgo or a Virgo moon that can easily say deeply in a mushy way and look you in the eye and salivate. By the way, Virgos don't salivate. And salivate and say, God, I love you. No, they're not going to do it. Even if they're a Sagittarius, even if they're the most expressive sign, even if they're a Leo, they are not going to do that. No, it's too vulnerable. Virgo moons and Virgos have another enmeshed relationship with perfection. It's true. They also have an enmeshed relationship with control. And if I am mushy, gushy, sticky, icky, lovey-dovey with you, the Virgo moon person believes that that's a power loss. That's a loss of control. They lose the upper hand if they're that mushy. There's an analytical strategy or pragmatic reasoning process that goes with the emotional expression of Virgos and Virgo moons. They can't just let it all leak out. They can let their anger leak out because they feel in control when it's anger. But when it's love, it gives the other person the upper hand. That's why they choose to express love indirectly by paying you a compliment. Like, wow, that tie sure looks good on you. That color is gorgeous on you. Your makeup is sensational today. I love your hair. That's how they say I love you. I remember I dated this man, and he was a Virgo, wonderful, a wonderful person in a lot of ways, but he was so Virgo that I really had to get used to his way of saying, I love you, cooking for me, which I really did feel loved by that, and him fixing the brakes on my car. And I did feel loved by that too. And so that was the I love you gesture. And by the way, I was like, I'm fine with this. I don't need all that mushy. I actually need new brakes. And I love a good pork roast. So one of the harder parts about being a Virgo moon is there's an emotional repression or suppression. And when you're emotionally repressed or suppressed, like holding it in, right? And you can't express verbally what is inside your heart. You have to show it through action, through your chi, right? Through your efforts, through your contribution to the relationship. That's how Virgos love. It's how they contribute to your life and how they help you make your life better. You know, like fixing my brakes made my life better. You know, that's how they show love. But when they oppress or repress or suppress their emotional feelings and words, what happens is it leads to OCD and high anxiety, and then even it can move into full-blown panic attacks. Tell me if you're a Virgo rising, Virgo moon, or are you involved with one? And have you suffered from high anxiety and panic attacks? This is why there is an emotional repression in Virgo. And sometimes Virgos turn to, funny enough, drugs and alcohol because they're the sign of purity. They turn to drugs and alcohol to be able to get those things out. Virgos fall in love with themselves rarely, because they have too much humility to even admit that they like themselves. They do fall in love with themselves. I should say they like themselves the most when they are productive. And that's why they chronically stay productive. That's why they're workaholics. That's why they never sit down, why they are always going and doing, helping, assisting, serving, improving. Those are all Virgo concepts. Unproductivity creates so much paralyzing guilt. They cannot sleep at night if they didn't have a productive day. Now, a lazy Virgo, and by the way, I happen to know lazy Virgos. I know 4 of them. I have friends that are Virgos and Virgo moons. For whatever reason, the way their life developed, either they didn't believe in themselves enough, they didn't maximize their gifts in life. They're sad, they're depressed, they're fighting off depression and sadness. And when you see an unproductive Virgo, you are literally looking at a very sad soul. And they probably need a hug, and they probably need a bowl of homemade soup, and they probably need a big, long, heartfelt conversation that tells them they're worth it. Do you happen to know an unproductive or a lazy or a disorganized or an unkempt Virgo? If you do, I'm telling you right now, there's a problem. There's a problem inside of themselves. They may never confess it to you because they would lose control, right? So they have to pretend that they're not bothered at all by their unkempt, disorganized lifestyle. They have to pretend it. And Virgos can be great pretenders, like we all can be. It's heartbreaking. And I'm telling you right now, if you want to write in the comments, oh, I know a Virgo who's a mess. That person, there is something inside of them that has a disconnect. Help them connect back into themselves. One of the things I love to do is I love to give you guys the deeper truth. I love deep thinking. I don't know how to be really any other way. I am funny. I can be funny and light, but it's just so rewarding for me to tell you the things about Virgo that go beyond the cliche, the stereotype. And if you've just now found me for the first time, thank you for being here. Please like and subscribe, and even consider becoming a member and joining my channel as a super supporter or a superstar supporter. Just click the join button on my homepage and you get so many free perks and you get all my behind the scenes videos. Think about living on my channel for a little while, because I do really deep astrology here, and we go way past just the cliches. And I like giving that to you. I hope that I'm giving you a little deeper, a little newer insight into Virgo. You know, past Virgos are smart and organized. Why are they organized? Because they have a relationship to perfection and control. Yes. And when things are organized, Virgos can stay in control. Virgo has a very hard time managing or being thrilled with or being good at managing chaos. And they are masters at this. This is one of their very best gifts. They like to make order from chaos, and they are fantastic at it. They're brilliant. There's nobody better than a Virgo for that. So if you have a shit show going on, hire somebody with big Virgo qualities to put it all in an organized format. And it's not just organization. That's not the goal. The goal is to have power, to have control, and they can do that when it's organized. They can help you become more powerful using their skills and their gifts to organize your shit show. I love you, Virgo. I love you. I need a good Virgo in my life. I actually have a few. Thank you, Virgos. You know who you are. And like, I can't even do my frickin' life without Virgo. I'm not joking. And I'm lucky I have 2 planets in Virgo, but it's not a lot because those are the planets that are way, 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 way far away. But God, I appreciate a good Virgo. The contract, the karmic contract in this lifetime is to enhance, to master, to perfect, to grow, and to develop oneself through mastering their emotional intelligence. And that is the contract specifically for Virgo moon, because the moon is about emotional feelings. And Virgo is ruled by Mercury, which is the mind. So it's literally emotional intelligence. And blending the two, they blend the head with the heart. This is why they're good in emergency situations. This is why they're good at managing chaos. They're here to learn how to be vulnerable just enough, right? But that is very hard, if not impossible, for Virgo and Virgo moon. Tell me if you've got a Virgo or a Virgo moon in your life that is super emotional. And I'm not talking like hysterical, mad, and angry. No, I mean in the vulnerable emotions of showing you, the underworld or the inside internal world of my heart, right? Crumbling and crying in your arms because I love you so much. I mean, do you know one of those? I don't. I have never met a Virgo moon, Virgo rising, or Virgo sun that can do that. I've never met one. Virgos, if you can even do that slightly, well, then you're on the right track. If you can even do it a little bit. They're highly critical, and they're critical when they're not in control. They're critical when things are not organized. This is part of their shadow side. And that's also their gifts too, right? Those are their blessings. And when they're highly functional and operating in their superpower, there's nobody better. But when it takes on the face of the shadow, then it starts to destroy their relationships and their world. And Virgos are not simple to be involved with because of their relationship to perfection. They want to be involved with somebody who's at their level. Can you relate, Virgo moons? Who meets their standard. And it is not simple meeting the Virgo's standard or the Virgo moon standard. I am telling you, I fail my Virgos incessantly. They just have to be okay with me failing them. I can't take on the burden of their chronic disappointment in me because my self-esteem would be worn down to dust. Can anybody relate, right? So if you're going to be involved with Virgo, you better bring your best, highest, most perfect version of yourself. Yeah. And that's where the shadow side comes in and the difficulty comes in with being involved with a Virgo moon and being a Virgo moon. Because you know what, you guys, they don't do this just to you. They're doing this to themselves even more. Their standard for you is way more simple than their standard for their own self. I mean, they're running a Marine Corps boot camp in their head on a minute by minute basis for them. Like, oh my God, I'm not doing enough. I'm not good enough. I'm not, blah, 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 blah. And for you, they're giving you hopscotch. Yeah, like 1, 2, 1, 2, roll the chalk. Yeah. You get hopscotch, and me, the Virgo moon, let's say, they've got literally the boot camp, Marine Corps, mud runner boot camp in their head. So they're very hard on themselves, but believe me, they're hard on you too. Their shadow side is they can't hand the reins over to someone else very easily. They can't relax being in the passenger seat and being in your passenger seat, especially if you're less than them, or not as capable as them, or not as bright as them, or not as intelligent as them, self-mastered as them, or emotionally intelligent as them. And they don't trust that you really are. And you know what the truth probably is? You're probably not. Yeah. And that's the lesson for Virgo moon, to be okay with allowing somebody else to have the control, to flow with the disorganization, to become spontaneous, to reveal their feelings, even if it makes you feel vulnerable, to cry, and to surrender. The art of surrender. Virgos are not good at that. They're tightly wound, they're amped up, ramped up, and it's very difficult for them to flow with another person's agenda if it is chaotic, spontaneous, random, and disorganized. If it makes no sense, they can't do it. It has to make sense. If you are pretty much any other sign, it's probably not going to make a whole lot of sense to a Virgo. Your system, your approach. They do kind of believe in hierarchy. So there is a respect for hierarchical order. This is the sign of proteges and mentors. And they do respect that. And they live most of their life as a protege, looking up to a mentor. And part of their evolutionary contract is to become the mentor. And so they have a great deal of respect for their masters, if you will, for their gurus, if you will, for the wise elders. They will do your program, but they probably will find a way to become so useful to you that if you are in the mentorship role or the elder role, that you will become indebted to them and dependent on them. And this is a little bit sad when this is a parent-child relationship. Most Virgo moons will end up outgrowing their parents and parenting their parents at a very, very, very young age, by the age of 12. Sometimes they become indentured, enslaved, the worker bee, and in chronic service to their parents. Sometimes they're in charge of raising the other children. Tell me if you can relate to this, Virgo moon. Can you relate to this? I want to know, if you are a Virgo moon, what house is your Virgo moon in? Because the house is going to shape how your service rolls out, what you're attached to. It will show you what beauty looks like for you, your relationship to control, power, chaos, organization, refinement. But one of the big evolutionary goals for Virgo moons is to learn surrender, spontaneity, and how to flow and be a passenger, allowing another person to drive. It doesn't have to be control, but drive. And to become an empowering assistant, in a way, to that person who's driving, to empower and to inspire. And Virgo moons oftentimes are impatient, and they can sound critical rather than inspiring. So that's kind of my homework assignment for Virgos. By the way, I didn't give any other sign homework. Only Virgos get homework, because you know why? Virgos love homework. Yes, they do. Tell everybody it's true, right? So your homework assignment is, when you want to be critical or offer constructive criticism, I would say wrap it up in a big bow and speak it in a way that empowers and inspires. Speak it without the critical nature inside the directive. Virgos are underappreciated. I will tell you that. I want you to call up your Virgo moon, Virgo rising, Virgo person, and tell them this. I appreciate you so much for doing X, Y, and Z. If you haven't appreciated your Virgo recently, just do that. They don't hear the good stuff about themselves enough. Why? Because they don't need it. So they don't ask. So they don't set it up. They don't set up their world for positive feedback. They don't. They're actually always expecting somebody to be disappointed in them. Why? Because they have that measurement, that yardstick of perfection. And so they never really feel like they make the mark. Here's the golden nugget, okay? Listen to me. Listen to me. Perfection is an enigma. It is a mirage. There is no such thing. They actually are so pragmatic and so cautious and so careful and so organized and so methodical and so useful and so smart and so intelligent. They're actually chasing something that's nothing. They're chasing something that doesn't even friggin' exist. And they think it does. They actually think it does. And so when they get this perfect thing, let's say in my standards, oh my God, this is so perfect. They're like, well, I could have improved this or that or this or that, or I didn't get the best brakes for you. You know, I got the cheap brakes, or, you know, they might fall off later, but they're good for now. Oh my God. They literally cannot find the thing they seek, which is perfection. So call your Virgos up, your Virgo moons, and tell them, honey, there is no perfection. You are really good right where you're at. Yeah, they don't like superlatives. They don't believe in superlatives. So like extraordinary, amazing, fantastic, you know, superfragilalistic, expialidocious. Yeah, they don't believe in those words. They believe in good, solid, steady, organized, neat, tidy, helpful, useful. Yeah, so keep your compliments pragmatic, people. Don't be a Sagittarius. Yeah, one time my girlfriend told me, she said to me, and she has like 8 planets in Capricorn. So Capricorn's like that too. And by the way, Capricorn is my last moon sign in my series. And then I am wrapping this giant series up with a big bow. And after this series, we are going to go into the lighter side of astrology and have a blast. But my Capricorn friend said to me one time, you know, Meredith, if you didn't talk in so many superlatives, people would actually believe you more. And I thought to myself, what? So I said to her, you know, I'm not talking in superlatives just for like shits and giggles. That's actually what I feel. Ooh. I actually feel those things. I actually have that much exuberance. So sometimes I did find with my Virgo former boyfriend that when I did talk in giant emotions, he called me an exaggerator constantly. And I told him, I'm not an exaggerator. A, it's how I see it, feel it, and believe it. And B, I'm colorful. That's my experience with Virgo energy. And Virgo energy is very similar to Capricorn. So don't spew a bunch of superlatives out at them. They won't believe you. They really won't believe you. Tell me if you can relate to this, my Virgos and Virgo risings and my Virgo moons. Virgos have an eye for discernment. They can tell the difference between, you know, just the tiniest little details. They are born to improve and refine situations, systems, people, and circumstances in which they find themselves. And so they're on a constant improvement program. Constant, mostly for themselves, but also for you. You'll be their project too. Trust me, if you're involved with a Virgo in any way, you are their project. You might not know it, but they're working on you. Yep, they're gonna improve you because you got improving to do. God bless you, Virgos. God bless you. I need you. Come do my closet for me. Come feng shui my house. They have the best. Libra is a second to Virgo. They're a close tie though. I'll say 49-51, giving Virgo the 51%. They have an uncanny ability for combining really smart problem solving abilities with practical strategic approaches to create phenomenal results. So if you need to improve something, call your Virgo moon person. I need to improve this. What should I do? Oh my God, they've already got the answer. You know, I'm not sleeping well at night. I need to improve my sleep. Oh, well, you need vitamin D and calcium and magnesium. You just call your Virgo something. Go test them. Like, you know, I don't crochet, but like, I don't know what crochet size needle I need to make this sweater. Well, you know what you need? You need to go down to the store and get the Like, they'll tell you. You can just start doing trivia with them. Like, I don't know what helmet to wear when I go bike riding. Well, you need a helmet that. The Virgos, like Libras, see life through cause and effect constantly. If I do this, this happens. If we do that, this is the result. And nobody in the entire zodiac is better at that than Virgo. I'm going to tell you, Libra's phenomenal. Then I give it to Aquarius. Then I'm going to give it to Gemini. Then I'm going to give it to Capricorn. I mean, phenomenal. Now let's talk about something. Think about perfection. Virgos come from parents that either commanded or demanded or cultivated or grew or nurtured a concept of perfection inside of the Virgo moon child. Bill Cosby has a Virgo moon. And if you're my age, you know, I grew up in the 70s and 80s. Bill Cosby was iconic, and he was the perfect father. He even wrote a best-selling book, I think, titled Fatherhood or something like that. And I am telling you, it was like a #1 best-selling book. He was the quintessential dad. He was the perfect father. He was reasonable. He had great children. He handled everything with just precision and discernment and perfection. Isn't it ironic that there he turned to drugs to escape all of that? Yeah, and drugging others, and lived in pretty much a state of total hallucination, and is still in denial about the crimes he committed against women. And he was hardly perfect, but he had a persona of perfection, and he had this entire world fooled. Wasn't it one of the saddest days of our existence when the mask came off and we saw not only his imperfections, like we could deal with imperfections, but we saw his inhumanity? Yeah, it was so sad. Another Virgo moon, John Travolta. Look at him on the dance floor. The precision, the discernment of moves, the way he can dance. I grew up in the 70s and 80s, and like Grease, there in Saturday Night Fever, there was just nobody like him. Perfection, like you cannot believe. Also, a really good dad, and how sad around the loss of his son and his wife. There's a desire for properness in Virgo, good manners, meeting expectations. And I've heard a lot of rumors, and I don't know if it's true, that John lives a double life. I don't know if it's true. He certainly doesn't portray that, right? Robert Redford. I personally think Robert Redford is the quintessential archetype of self-mastery. He is so humble. He was rock Hudson gorgeous when he was young. He never knew it. I mean, he was the Brad Pitt of Brad Pitt's, you know, of the 70s and 80s. It never has gone to his head, and he just wants to do good in the world. He literally wants to save the planet. He's an amazing human being. I really recommend you study his great works in life. Madonna also has a Virgo moon, and look at her relationship to beauty and perfection. I mean, she's like 65 years old, going on 32, going on 28. I mean, she looks, I want to say amazing, but now it's getting a little bit bizarre. It's almost like, Madonna, it's okay to have one flaw. It's really okay. You can have one wrinkle. You know, I got wrinkles here. I don't have, you know, I don't have perfect skin. I don't have perfect lips. My hair certainly isn't perfect. It's gonna be okay if you're not perfect. Do you know how much hard work that is? Do you know what kind of anxiety goes into looking like that? Yeah, that's anxiety. Virgos are compulsive because perfection requires that. Virgos are workaholics because they don't feel good about themselves if they're not productive. Work is their security. And I'm talking about Virgo moons mostly, but you can still relate if you've got those other placements. Emotions get in the way of productivity, and they slow you down and they bog you down. They are highly aware of just the tiniest, finest little details in life. As I've said many a times, Virgo lives in between the blades of grass, and that's where they're comfortable. Virgos quickly realize that nobody is quite as good at organizing, building, critiquing, and discerning as they are. So they don't have a lot of trust. that you're going to be able to do the thing, the relationship, the job, as well as them. That doesn't come from a haughty approach. That comes from hard work, past experience, sweat equity, being more organized, and just having an innate skill set and a relationship to perfection that you don't have. Where do you have Virgo? Because this is how you'll operate. Wherever Virgo's in your chart, this is how that part of yourself will express itself. I want to end with this. The bottom line is Virgos must feel like their ability, their contribution, their service is making an impactful difference somehow. They really need to come to know that their support or their assistance is important, is of value, and their efforts matter and count. That's how they love and feel loved. So if you really want your Virgo to feel loved, ask them to help you with something. Let them sort of run your show in a way that doesn't exhaust them, and appreciate them for the good contributions they made to your life and to your relationship. Now, remember, Virgo moons are prone to worry and anxiety, guilt and shame. So if you can help them eliminate those things in their life, that is the biggest gift you can give a Virgo moon. And it gets debilitating. They worry excessively. They worry that they're not doing good enough, that they're not helpful enough, that they're not useful enough, that they're not perfect enough, that they're not meeting the standard, that they didn't meet your expectations. Tell them that they are. Don't let them fall victim to the nervous tension and the constant fault finding that they find in themselves. Don't let them go there. Virgo moons, again, will start out as an apprentice and hopefully will reach the level of mastery in some field. So if you are a Virgo moon, tell me what you're masterful at and tell me how old you are, because you might not know what you're super good at until after the age of 36 years old. But if you've got a lot of Virgo in your chart, I want you to tell me 1 to 3 things that you feel you can master, that you have a true talent for. Will you do that for me, Virgos? Please do that for me. And I want to tell you, I think Virgos and Virgo moons, I think they like me. I don't know why especially, but I do think that there's a likability factor and an appreciation from my Virgos. And I only say that because I do read every single comment. By the way, if you're a superstar, super supporter, I will guarantee you that I write you back. And if you are a super supporter, I usually hit about 90%, like I can comment on 90%. I work it as hard as I can. I read the Virgo comments and I see like a nice appreciation. And so that warms my heart, that touches me, and it makes me feel like maybe I'm not meeting their total standard, but I'm in the ballpark. And I always feel like when you get a compliment from a Virgo, it's very real, it's very genuine. They see the flaws faster than they see the blessings. That's the truth, because they have the eye for discernment and they're here to improve systems and structures and people and relationships. They're the fixers. So they're looking for the flaw. They're looking for the mistake. They're looking for what they can improve. They don't usually see things that just need nothing. They don't see like that. Leave that for the more optimistic signs. Health and wellness is critical for a Virgo moon. It's absolutely critical. I mean, a Virgo moon is going to be so overly attached to, is this good for me? Is this healthy for me? There's a lot of eating disorders. There's a lot of anorexia and bulimia with Virgo moons. So be helpful and be conscientious to your Virgo moon people around how you interact with them around their health and wellness. The things that you say to them are very, very important, that you get your words right, because they beat themselves up that way. Now, I want to tell you one last thing. Wherever your Mercury, this is my little secret tip, wherever your Mercury is in your chart, that is going to show you how your heart works, because Mercury is the dispositor of your moon sign. And it's important that you know what house and what sign that Mercury is in, because that's sort of the generator for how you're going to express yourself. So if you have, say, Sagittarius in Mercury, but you have a Virgo moon, well, you're going to have Sagittarius behind the scenes running your heart. And so it's going to look very different than if you have Capricorn in Mercury. That's going to be much more reserved, much more pragmatic, kind of like don't speak in superlatives. But if you have a Sagittarius, you're probably constantly and chronically managing your own chaos because Sagittarius can live with a lot of chaos. They don't particularly have a relationship with organization. So I want you to tell me, where is your Mercury, what house and what sign, if you have a Virgo moon, and can you relate to this video, Virgos and Virgo moons? Also, please consider becoming a super supporter, but more than anything, I would love it if you would subscribe, click the little bell so you can get the notifications, and are you coming to my next masterclass? I hope so. It's going to be so exciting. You can get a ticket by clicking on my shop tab at soulnavigation.com. And I just want to say thank you for being here. Bye for now.